right, so let's talk about this guy.
When we try to be a part of the other people's culture, we're not let in. We can't get citizenship, dual citizenship in large numbers in the Caribbean or Africa. They don't let us in CARICOM. They don't let us in the African Union. They don't let us in the African Union. They don't let us in the African Union.
Why the f you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop f***ing lying.
So this guy's leading a movement to drive a wedge between black people here in America and all other black people. And in order to do this, he has to lie a lot. So get used to seeing them. Before we talk about who the African Union doesn't allow in, let's talk about what the African Union is. It is an organization that is comprised of all of the governments in Africa together to create one political body and work together to achieve common goals. In the 6 regions of the African Union: North Africa, which is essentially the Arab countries; West Africa, your fufu and jollof rice countries; Central Africa, where you'll find a lot of your basketball players; East Africa, where you have a lot of your marathon winners; and then South Africa, the region, not to be confused with the country. And if you're paying attention, then you'll notice that that's 5 regions. So what's the 6th region? The diaspora. And here's the document that was created when the 6th region was declared. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I'll just go through some of the key commitments that were made. And the commitments fall into 3 different categories: political cooperation, economic cooperation, and social cooperation. Under political cooperation, I'll go down to K, and you can read it, but essentially it's saying that the AU is encouraging Africans in the diaspora to create organizations to work with the AU. So in countries like maybe Jamaica or Barbados, for example, it's easy for the governments to work directly with the AU. But in countries like the USA or the UK, where the governments might not represent the African population, it's very important that these organizations are created to work with the AU. And if you Google, you can see that there's already been organizations created to work as a part of the 6th region. Here's the organization for the US. And you can see it's also going to work in regions of its own. Let's go back to the document. On the mobilization of support, we have R.
And that's been kind of a problem with a lot of these diaspora conversations. There's this one-sided Pan-Africanism where everybody kind of gets stuff from us. We have to fight for everybody.
Support and solidarity between Africans on the continent and in the diaspora. It's basically, there's a commitment to fight for each other's rights. So under economic cooperation, we have A, enhance closer interaction between African Union and the diaspora. Under partnership in business, we have build on Africa's and the diaspora's comparative advantages in culture. So with music, sports, those kinds of things, working together to take advantage of our strengths. Under arts and culture, there's H, support, encourage, and promote celebration of global observance days like Africa Day, Africa Union Day, Black History Month, Emancipation Day. I'm sure Juneteenth will be added to this list. And the media and image building, there's I, something I think that's very important. Coordinate efforts of the existing media and promote new media to rebrand Africa and to counter stereotypes about Africans and people of African descent. So reclaiming our image, which has been stolen from us, and I think it's very important that we get it back. And it's not even for their sake to change how they feel about us. It's more so to change how we see ourselves. Under human and people rights, we have N, engage developed countries to address the political and socio-economic marginalization of diaspora communities in their countries of domicile. So this is the African Union willing to go to bat to fight on the rights of Africans or Black people outside of the continent.
There's this one-sided Pan-Africanism.
And the last thing I want to show you from this document is under implementation and follow-up. Number 8, agree to set up a diaspora advisory board which will address overarching issues of concern to Africa and its diaspora, such as reparations. And I highlight the word reparations because I know this is a big key item for the FBA movement. And here is the AU committing itself to support you in this effort. So I don't know what the status of these commitments are or what developments have been made since the summit. But one thing is clear is that there's a lot of political will on behalf of the AU to include diasporans in its activities and to offer support to issues of concern for the diaspora. And here's a former AU ambassador to the US, Dr. Eric Kana, summarizing this goodwill.
Good evening, my fellow African diaspora. My name is Ambassador Dr. Arikana Chiombari Kwao. I am the African Union Ambassador to the United States of America. I am here as your ambassador with two main mandates. The first one is to promote Africa in the Americas, and the second one is to galvanize the African diaspora to participate in the development of Africa. Who are the African diaspora? According to the African Union definition, African diaspora are all people of African descent living outside Africa. The 55 African heads of states understand very clearly that in order for Africa to take its rightful place on the world stage, in order for sustainable development to come to Africa, the African diaspora must be front and center of that conversation. So it is precisely why I'm here to have a conversation with you all, my fellow brothers and sisters, sons and daughters.
They don't let us in the African Union.